Captain America Brave New World is good. I won't lie, I missed going to the theater for a new Marvel movie, grabbing a big tub of popcorn, and watching that iconic Marvel logo light up on the screen. Just turning off my brain, enjoying some solid action, and maybe some funny jokes, hopefully. And just a fun, engaging story. That's what I missed. And guess what? Brave New World kinda gave me exactly that. A fun, not particularly deep or layered story, with action ranging from okay to great, and surprisingly, compelling and real-feeling characters. This is Bogdan, and you're watching a slightly spoilery review of the fourth Captain America movie, Brave New World. Going into this, thanks to ever-reliable Rotten Tomatoes critics giving this movie 51%, I set my expectations low. I was still excited, but I was bracing myself for a complete snooze fest, as noted by the reviewers. But right from the start, this movie just pulled me in. By 20-30 minute mark, I forgot I was watching a 51% movie, and the thing is, it just kept going. Aside from a few rough CGI scenes and some questionable direction choices, the story kept me engaged enough the entire time. Even the usual cringy MCU humor wasn't that big of a deal here. Only one joke broke an emotional moment, and I'll let it slide because it was delivered via a fun and unexpected cameo. So what is the story of this movie in a nutshell? Following Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie, is adjusting to being the new Captain America while reluctantly trying to work with the newly elected president, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, played by the legend himself, Harrison Ford. This movie also introduces Adamantium into the MCU, which was kind of random, but it's finally addressing a massive celestial sticking out of the Indian Ocean from Eternals. This reveal opens up a ton of really interesting possibilities for the future stories, but the movie doesn't dwell on it too much, so neither will we. Joaquin Torres from Disney Plus series returns, but he's still a pretty one-dimensional character for now, essentially acting as Sam's apprentice, while trying to fill in the Falcon's shoes with some mixed results. Isaiah Bradley also makes his big screen debut, but sadly, he doesn't have much to do beyond the first 30 minutes. He does, however, play a key role in Sam's motivations later on, and there's just a few fun moments with this character on the screen. Like I said, there's a few other cameos in this movie, nothing crazy, but some pretty awesome, almost 15 to 20 years callbacks into the past of the MCU, which felt quite earned. As the story builds to its villain reveal, we realize this isn't just Captain America 4. It is also The Incredible Hulk 2, minus the Hulk. Well, kind of, but the Hulk is red, and he's played by Harrison Ford. I actually thought this was a quite clever continuation of a nearly 20-year-old loose end, bringing back the leader, played by Tim Blake Nelson, a gamma-irradiated genius with a deep grudge against Thunderbolt Ross. He's not a super complex character, but he is menacing, his motives are clear, and his extreme intelligence makes his otherwise complicated schemes work, which is a fun, if slightly cheeky way to sidestep the usual MCU villain tropes of these incredibly detailed and somehow accurate plans. I'm looking at you, Zemo. Aside from a few other minor plot points and characters like Sabra or Giancarlo Esposito's completely wasted character, the core story revolves around two things: Sam Wilson understanding what it truly means to be Captain America, and Thaddeus Ross trying to redeem himself in his daughter's eyes while inevitably facing his demons. And honestly, for an MCU movie, this felt quite refreshing. No world-ending stakes, no multiverse shenanigans, just a hero trying to step into impossibly large shoes against all odds. Despite of how simple it sounds, this is the kind of storytelling that superheroes have lost in the last few years in their constant chase for bigger, crazier, and more explosive spectacles. I really hope this more character-driven approach is something that we will see more of in the future projects in the MCU, like hopefully with the Thunderbolts or Fantastic Four coming later this year. So where did it all go wrong with Brave New World? Well, it's not a perfect movie. It suffered from numerous reshoots, rewrites, and last-minute changes, and if you pay really close attention, you can spot the scenes that were added later and some pretty awkward exposition that was clearly tagged on. Despite that, I was surprised by how cohesive and easy to follow the story remained. My only other big gripe was how much exposition was dumped into dialogue, which is somewhat understandable since not many people watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and many others have forgot about Incredible Hulk's existence. The bigger issues lie in this movie's visuals. The first and the last action sequences look pretty rough, with clearly rushed VFX and some pretty awful green screen. There is a Top Gun-esque dogfight towards the end that had potential, but ended up feeling more like a video game due to some weak CGI as well. The fight choreography is also very inconsistent, some cool moments, but overall it's weaker than the past Captain America films. And compared to Winter Soldier, which had some of the best hand-to-hand combat in the MCU, this was quite a letdown. But let's be honest, comparing this movie to The Winter Soldier is like comparing Cars 2 to Cars 1. And one other thing, can we please go back to making cool looking suits that feel real? Why does every character nowadays have to have a fake looking nanotech helmet? Like, this is a consistently painful trend to watch in all the newer MCU titles, and it just sucks because it used to be so good. Go back to making real looking suits, please and thank you. Ultimately, most of this movie's flaws boil down to one thing and one thing only. It feels underbaked, underdeveloped, and a bit rushed. Unfortunately, reshoots and rewrites seem to be the norm for MCU projects lately, Daredevil Born Again being one of those victims, and that makes me a little bit worried. I just hope this doesn't become a huge trend with more and more projects in the pipeline, turning great ideas into just okay movies. Just like Brave New World. So, final thoughts. Like I said at the start, it's good. It has fresh ideas, some cool stylistic choices, and most importantly, it focuses a lot on characters. Even if we all can agree that this movie didn't quite reach its potential, we can at least appreciate how they handled Sam Wilson's journey as Captain America and Thaddeus Ross's personal struggles. Their arcs feel real, their conflict is engaging, and their eventual clash has genuine weight to it. Oh, and the Red Hulk looks absolutely incredible. Even if his existence is short-lived, it looked great. Thank you. Thank you for having a Hulk fight in some capacity that's not in the Avengers or a 20-year-old movie. This was awesome. Thank you. Bonus points for trying to make this movie a bit more stylistic by introducing some heavy old-school political thriller influences. Even if it also felt quite underbaked and mostly abandoned halfway through the movie, it still gave this movie a bit of a fresh coat of paint, so to speak. Overall, I'd give this movie a solid 7 out of 10. It had a lot of potential, it has a lot of issues that bogs it down, but it's okay. The story and the characters are quite good. And it just sucks how much unwarranted, in my opinion, hatred and bashing it's getting. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes critics rated Thor: Love and Thunder higher than this? Are they stupid?